Right then, Street Talk this week. We had another 3 episodes, getting into the groove of the 3-episode weeks now. Still quite enjoying it. It feels like a treat when Corrie comes on. We've got the Asha story has been the main talking point this week, I would say. I've got a storyline title for this, Gemma. Gemma, do you remember way back, when was it, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when Lloyd and Mandy and the tortoise Flash, yeah?
Yeah.
And he got and there was a storyline about his ashes going in Lloyd's face, and we called that Flash's ashes.
Yeah, right.
Reverse. The tables are turned this week, because now we've got Asha Flashes.
Yeah.
Not appropriate, but who cares? We then move on with the serious cases of the Ollie Wobbles, which started last week, and it was back to form for Leanne this week, I would say.
She certainly has been sorely missed.
She tapped back into her, 3-4 years ago persona that we...
I thought you were talking about tapping in, like, a boxing ring, because that was certainly the impression I got from her. Like thundering in like a rhino.
Well, we didn't have any boxing this week, but we did have fencing, and that was part of our Stillwater carry-on storyline, which we'll go on to next. We saw Johnny and Jenny together in more than one scene this week in the next story.
Yeah.
Johnny's Scott issues. A little chuckle for that one. Although it seems that Johnny may not be much part of this story, because he's bogging off to France now, leaving Jenny with their new mysterious guest at the B&B.
Chance would be a fine thing, wouldn't it?
For what?
Buggering off to France.
Oh yeah, I know. I've got no storyline title for Imran and Toya. I didn't last week. I don't anymore.
Don't know what's happening.
I don't know what the story is. That's the problem. No, there's a bit of friction, and we're not just talking about in the bedroom.
Gross.
They're
having a takeaway.
No, they're not. They didn't have a takeaway in the end. It's like,
didn't they? I thought they did.
No, I didn't think they.
I thought they did.
No, I think they went back to the old favourite of veggie lasagna.
I think they're having a takeaway.
But anyway, there's things going on between Toya and Imran, and I don't know whether the writing's on the wall for them, but we've been saying that for a little while anyway. We'll finish off with the winter blues.
Sorry, I'm thinking about
what their favourite takeaway would be.
I bet you Imran likes sweet and sour chicken.
Why do you think that?
He just strikes me as the sort of guy who's just would like sweet and sour chicken and stink up the whole room. I don't like sweet and sour chicken. It smells horrible.
Toya would go to one of these health
atomic orange coloured.
Toya would go to one of these health food shops, wouldn't she, and get various green mushy dishes. Force Imran to eat them. Like
macho peas from Nando's.
Oh no, they're nice. I like them.
I know.
Right, Gemma, Asha Flashes. I think I'll do this one. Okay.
Yeah.
You're just reminiscing about macho peas.
Oh, Nando's.
So, what do we have at the beginning of the week? Kelly's accusing Amy of being a bit jealous of Asha and Corey. Kelly's turning out to be a bit of a bitch this week, isn't she? She's been a bit of a mean girl. Rick Neelan's daughter. We didn't see any of Gary this week at all. I didn't know whether this was going to be a catalyst for that story to come back again. I'm sure it still will be, but Gary kept his distance this week at least, and we still don't know why she's not at Oak Hill anymore. So Tracy sees that Amy's a bit down in the dumps over this teen angst situation, let's call it, and says, look, you can invite the girls around and have some pizza sometime. You can have a nice party together. So then we have Kelly and Asha spying pizza. Amy. Stop distracting me you sounded like Homer Simpson here.
Pizza.
Amy decides, well, even was it Tracy just said you can ask the girls over, but Amy goes and invites Corey over. And he's not gagging for it at first, but then when he hears that Asha's going to be there, he signs himself right up. And the only other thing we had in that story at the end of the episode was Asha doing a little bit of a video chat to Corey in her bedroom.
I don't think you should play this down. I think this is one of the most significant things.
This was the most significant thing that happened this week.
She's having a video chat with Corey, and she talks about Amy.
Yeah, and he kind of asks whether she's jealous of Amy. Kind of likes the idea that she'd be jealous that Amy's also, showing an interest in him as well. And he says, look, you got nothing to worry about, babes. You're really fit, you're pretty, you got beautiful eyes, golden skin. He kind of butters her up.
Well, then, no, I thought it was really gross because he was like, you've got beautiful golden skin, let me see it. It's like, no, anytime a man wants to look at your skin, I think he's a serial killer or a dermatologist. And I don't think that Corey is old enough to be qualified.
He does seem older than he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I know, but he's not medical
what is the
school
age
old.
range of the children that have gone onto this party? Because already we got like Summer, who's like the Hermione of the group, isn't she? And she clearly looks like the youngest one there by a good few years. But I think Matilda is actually the age they're all supposed to be. And then you got Corey at the top end, who looks like he should be at university by now.
Yeah, but some teenagers do look weirdly old for their age, don't they? Like when I was a kid, me and my friends all looked like goody two-shoes little Hermiones with like frizzy hair and like stupid t-shirts, like little girls. But then we had friends who like were always made up and had fancy hairstyles and designer clothes and things.
Well, Corey is certainly.
That's why I kind of like it, and I understand it does look a bit unrealistic, but we all know that people mature at different ages.
Let's just say that, like Jack Webster, Corey's had his growth spurt early. Anyway, he wants to see her skin, and I mean, she doesn't gradually do it or anything, does she? She just strips right off.
Well,
we assume because the camera goes a bit blurry
need to see.
That she props up. She doesn't take much convincing.
No.
She props the camera up on her dressing table and then starts to undress.
So she can attach it to different parts.
She's not becoming a cam girl. I think it was a one-off.
She might as well now. Her reputation's been ruined.
They've all seen it.
Oh no, you can't give it away anymore.
So, Wednesday, Corey shows up at the kebab shop. Asha's working there, and he says, look, I'm going to come around to this party of yours tomorrow, and then maybe we can sneak off later if you get my drift. And she gets she's a little bit shy about this because she did this stripping for him last night, and I think she's probably surprised herself and has like woken up the next day kind of thinking, what on earth did I do? And what she doesn't know, of course, is that it's been recorded.
Well, girls are under lots of pressure to do things that boys ask them to do to be liked, and there's always this tension between being obliging but also not wanting to be seen as loose or slaggy.
Yes.
And this is the tightrope that women have to walk up until the point at which we become too old and ugly to care about.
No one wants you to strip in front of them anymore online.
People want you to wear the most amount of clothes possible.
So Tracy's getting a bit worried. There was a scene there where she's worrying about people making a mess at the party. Amy's like saying, no, it's cool, it's going to be fine, there's only a few of us there, don't worry about it. And then we have Asha overhearing Kelly talking to Ardy on the phone, and she's trying to get him to arrange to bring some booze from the shop. She also teases Asha about Corey being into Amy still, so she's just trying to stir the pot, basically. Ardy, yes, that is Ardy, everybody. He may look a little bit different. New actor, Adam Hussein, taking over from Zen and Ditchit, which we talk a little bit about on our extra podcast this week, which is all about Corey head swaps that have happened over the years, which was quite a fun discussion that we had. We recorded that yesterday, didn't we? So make sure you tune into that if you haven't listened to it already. But anyway, new Ardy is left alone in the shop, and he eyes up the vodka when Dev's gone. So then we cut to number one, where there's a pre-party girly chat between Summer and Asha and Amy. And Asha's talking to Amy about, look, when Corey, when he used to like you, did he ever ask you to, do anything with him? And they're kind of saying, what do you mean? What's he done to you? And she kind of says, she doesn't let it slip. She kind of shyly, she's not showing off, is she? She just says, I just like showed him stuff. And then they say, how much did you show? And she's like, I showed him everything. So literally, she went full Monty. Although the synopsis for Coronation Street was, it quite bluntly says something along the lines of, Asha admits to Amy and Summer that she showed Corey her boobs. So I was quite shocked when I read that on the Corey synopsis after the episode, of course. Anyway, Amy and Summer are obviously very, very shocked by this, particularly Summer, who's never heard of such things. The guys show up, and then the party starts. It seems that a few more people than have been invited are coming along to this party, including that that total mean girl, Pastel Blue, from the Bugsy Malone show last year.
Is that her actual name, or is that the name of a character?
The character's name is Pastel Blue something.
No, in the Bugsy Malone show.
No, that's the character, Coronation Street character's name.
Why have they called her that?
Well, because they wanted to make it a thing about her being a prissy, privileged girl, you know, with a silly made up name. She's not been invited, but she turns up anyway. It looks like she set up some kind of party chat on WhatsApp or something. Anyway, before long, the party's getting totally out of control. Amy's freaking out about this because she knows she's going to get in trouble. And also, she's not a party animal, is she? She just really wanted to have a nice pizza party with her friends. When Ardy brings the vodka round, I think Amy's a bit on edge about it. And
I don't know why you would want one of these stupid parties. They always have. With all these random people you don't know being horrible to you.
They don't want that.
Trashing your house.
They don't. She doesn't want that. She's trying to get rid of them, but...
She's not very assertive.
Kelly goes upstairs at one point. They're basically just going over the whole house.
Yeah.
And she sees Corey. He's out in the hall, isn't he, perving over that Asha video. He can't even... I want to know how many times he's watched that, the dirty dog. He's there watching it by the stairs, and she goes over, looks over his shoulder, sees that, and then carries on up the stairs. And then he's then called into the lounge because Ardy is completely
drunk.
Drunk. I was thinking of a better word than that, but drunk will do.
If you can't think of a better word for it, just say drunk.
Just say drunk. Corey has to help Ardy get outside, and he leaves his phone down on the table. Classic soap mistake.
Oops.
Also didn't seem to have a code on it to unlock it, or maybe it was just set to not go into hibernation mode or something. I don't know, but there's a little altercation where I think Ardy rushes off. He's back inside again later, and he rushes out past Tracy's new lamp because he wants to throw up in the sink, and he accidentally knocks it over, and Asha thinks that Kelly did it, so she has a go at her, and then Kelly gets narky because it wasn't actually her fault. So then when nobody's looking, Kelly takes Corey's phone, gets that video of Asha flashing, and sends it to everybody in the group chat.
From his phone.
And at the end of the episode, everybody's phone starts beeping, and it made me think, does nobody there have their phone on silent? And has that been going on all evening when one person has sent... Because there must be a good 30 people in that group chat. Together. That must be really, really annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was
the teenage party. It's all very annoying.
That was the cliffhanger that we were left... We're making ourselves sound so old in this, Gemma. So
I don't care.
So yeah, that was a cliffhanger on Wednesday. What's going to happen next?
Don't know. Tell me.
It starts... I was a bit surprised at the beginning of today's episode because we didn't see the immediate consequences of this. I was expecting everybody to go, oh my gosh, Asha, have you seen what's going on here? But the first scene, everybody's keeping quite quiet about it. And coincidentally, all of our main characters don't have their phones with them at the moment. Everyone else has got their phone in their pockets, but everyone else has put their phone down. So Asha doesn't know about it. Amy doesn't know about it.
Ardy's drunk.
Ardy doesn't know about it because he's drunk. I think didn't Corey.
Ardy doesn't even know he's in his own brain.
They're also having to contend with Aggie, and because she's been moaning about this
Aggie
noise.
was the most relatable character in this entire storyline.
Turn that music down.
Shut up, or I was going to call the police.
But she's trying to have a nice romantic meal with Ed, isn't she, to celebrate the anniversary of when they first met.
What did I say? That is exactly, I agree with her. Shut up, kids. Please, be quiet.
I think... So she goes off again with Amy having promised to do something about it, or to do her best to get rid of these other guests who she doesn't even want to be there. And then Pastel Blue's kind of making some subtle hints or jokes about this video. She talks about, I want to hear my favourite tune. It's...
Get your boobs out for the
lads. Something really subtle like that.
Oh, it was something to do with Kanye
West, stripped back live.
I don't know any Kanye songs, and I would die happy never.
What about the Gay Fish song? I know that one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's my favourite song.
Anyway, nobody's saying anything about this video yet, so Asha's still in the dark about it. Dev at this point decides to come over and extract the twins. He finds that Ardy's drunk. He wants to get he doesn't like the two his two kids being in the middle of this raucous party, so he brings them home. The Baileys, meanwhile, have called the police because there's some other kids canoodling in their nice blue yard out the back, and others are balancing beer cans on the fence, and it's one of them fallen down.
They broke a broke a, what's it called? Plant pot. It's that awful.
So back over at Dev's house, that he's reading the riot act to both of the twins about various things. Still don't know about this video. And then when Ardy runs off to the kitchen to be sick in their sink, he should just work his way along the sinks of the street.
Well, Dev
chucking
brought
up in each one.
A washing up bowl to be sick in, and the stupid kid couldn't even bath in there.
Anyway, so while Dev's in to his sick son, Asha grabs her phone. This is the first time she's seen it since this whole thing kicked off, and then she notices the hundreds of messages that are there, and is quite stunned about what she finds. Runs up to her bedroom.
Yes, she's like, oh no.
So Steve and Tracy, during all this, have been off with Leanne at speed dial, and then they come home, see the police outside the house. Tracy has a massive go at Amy for allowing this to take place, and Amy's trying to protest her innocence, saying, look, it's not my fault, I tried to get rid of them, they wouldn't listen to me. Peter's completely chill about it. He's back from, I'm going to say, Portsmouth.
Yeah, back from Portsmouth visiting the lads.
And he's like, yeah, you know what, it's not a party unless the police get called out. So Amy eventually finds her phone now. She sees all the messages, tries to phone up Asha, but Asha's like beside herself, crying in her bedroom, puts the phone down, so Amy can't talk to her. We get more scenes of Amy getting told off.
She was very unrepentant for somebody who has caused all of this chaos.
She didn't cause it.
Yes, she did. She's like, it's not my fault. It is your fault. Who organised this?
She just didn't. No, it's
no,
not
but
her
the thing
fault.
is,
she had gate crashers.
It wasn't her. Yeah, but a little bit of apology and being upset and feeling bad about what's happened. She just immediately went on the defensive and started saying it wasn't her fault. I would not have been impressed.
Well, Tracy wasn't either. Amy ends up
I was surprised she didn't get more punished for this.
Well, maybe she is, I don't know. She didn't get grounded anyway, because at the end of the episode, she's gone round to
I think she might have snuck off.
Dev's back yard and is calling up to Asha because she's still not picking up her phone, and Asha's completely in bits about everything that's happened. She's in no mood to talk to Amy, and it's kind of basically left as why would Corey do this to me? Because obviously she's seen that this video has come from Corey's phone, and thinks that her new fella has
betrayed her confidence.
Yeah, and sent the video to all their mates.
Oh no.
Yes. So
don't send nude pictures to people.
Gemma,
that's my controversial
thoughts on this
opinion.
Story?
I think it's a very controversial opinion because I think that everyone thinks that it's fine, but
what? Send the nude pictures to?
I think lots of people do.
Well, we're too old for this. I don't.
I know, this is the thing. When you're that age, there's so much peer pressure to do stupid stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't as rampant as this. If it is as rampant as this, I mean. But I just don't know. Obviously, we didn't have mobile phones when we were at school. Not that I had anyone to send nude pictures of to anyway.
Me either.
But... and I've seen people online talking about it, and some of them say, this kind of thing is more prevalent than you would ever imagine, and other people saying, no, this doesn't happen at all. But I mean, it clearly
depends on the circles that you socialise in, don't you think?
Yeah. But I think it's definitely a relevant issue and to talk about. I mean, it's another issue storyline again, and I'm sure it's going to feel like we're being lectured, and it's not going to be relevant to us at all. But I mean, fair play to Coronation Street for going with a story to do with the teenagers again, because we haven't had a whole lot to see of those recently, have we?
And it's also really good that they've picked Asha again, because this is going to feed back into her self-confidence issues.
Yeah, well, the skin lightening story never really concluded, did it?
No, it didn't. We saw she got counselling, and you can just
we heard that she got counselling. We didn't even see any of it, did we?
You just have to assume that she's sort of like managing her problems with it. But then when Corey was saying to her, I want to see your golden skin, obviously that probably would have resonated with her, like, oh, that's good, it's good that he likes me for me and I don't need to change who I am. And then from that high of like feeling validated and wanted to feeling betrayed, the
it did seem, I did think it came a little too quickly, considering we've hardly seen any of Asha since that storyline aired back in, I don't know, when was it, October kind of time, to go from somebody who was covering herself up, like, you know, wearing her long sleeves and everything, to then just, with very little persuasion, stripping off in front of the camera.
Yeah, but you can't.
No, I know, but I just think that had we seen a bit more of the counselling, or heard her talking about what the counselling, maybe seen a bit more of her being confident in her body image.
The counselling was in order to get her to take her bloody clothes off.
No, I know, but I'm sure some of it was to make her feel comfortable with who she is.
Let me just explain another thing to you about women.
Go on,
She's not necessarily taking her clothes off because she feels confident and sexy. She's doing it because he's told her to do it, and she wants those feelings. There's not necessarily because she's feeling that way that she's doing it.
Oh, I know, but
girls can still do things and be forced into doing things and persuaded by blokes to do stuff that they're not comfortable with at all.
I don't think that she would have done that quite so quickly if he'd have asked her to do it 4 or 5 months ago.
I think it is a one of these. We need this to happen for the story. Let's not think about whether Asha necessarily would have done this or not. Do we really need 3 weeks of Corey trying to get us to take a kit off? No, not really. You know,
I wondered as well whether she would still be scarred, because one of the reasons that she was covering herself up was because these creams were giving her a reaction, weren't they? And do you remember when Amy saw that her arm was bleeding, and that's how Amy finds out about it. She's all healed up.
Or he's got a very pixely download.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I realise now that she was upset because she thinks he sent the video.
Yeah.
But also, why did he bloody record it?
Well, yeah, exactly. Because at the moment, I guess we're supposed to think, oh, Corey's being wrongfully accused of sharing this video.
But she never gave him permission to record it and keep it on his phone. I
don't know what the code is for this. If somebody live streams themselves doing something,
I think you need to have a mutual agreement as to what is going to be done with, because the thing is, there can be legal consequences for.
Oh, absolutely! It's basically it's underage pornography, isn't it?
Well, also sharing videos like that of people without their permission is illegal.
Yeah.
Like, it's called revenge porn, isn't it? We had a story about that with Steph ages ago, and that never really got anywhere. I felt like we were going towards a really interesting story, and they just kind of cut it short a little bit. But
this has got the added complication of the underage thing there as well, hasn't it?
I really hope they all get thrown in prison.
I mean, I guess that the cops are going to come knocking on Corey's door pretty quickly about it.
Do you think that's where this is going?
I wouldn't be surprised, because she thinks it's him. I mean, she's not going to be wanting revenge or anything, but it's going to get out, isn't it? I mean, Dev's going to find out somehow. Ardy, I guess, was on the voice, was on the group chat as well with this. He'll have been added, but he was too drunk to have known anything about it after tonight's episode. But he's going to wake up tomorrow morning with a very sore head, have a look on his phone, and probably wish he hadn't, because he'll have seen a lot more of his sister than he's seen since for a very long time. And once Dev's react, because he desperately wants to be a good parent, I think, Dev, doesn't he? Because he's been a single parent since Anita died. He's very overprotective dad. Well, so he's going to be like, who's responsible for this? Corey. Corey's going to... We didn't get to see Corey's reaction to any of this, did we? But people are going to say it was him, you did it. I guess there's not going to be any witnesses that Kelly did it, although in a crowded room, is that believable? I don't know. Who's going to notice
somebody picking up a phone?
Yeah, I suppose.
You're not going to know whose phone is whose, necessarily.
But it's in the end, it'll find its way back to Kelly, I'm sure. But like you said, Corey still has to bear some responsibility for this, even if he didn't share the video. The fact that he videoed at all.
Well, also the
I don't know what the law says.
Is even as harsh as Asha should be in trouble, because you're not allowed to create indecent images of underage people under the age of 18. So she's now made child pornography for her boyfriend.
Yeah,
and they're all sharing it amongst themselves, so they're all distributing child porn. And the character of Asha is 17, right?
No, she's not that. No,
how old is she?
Tanisha is 17 at the moment. Asha's like 14, 15 or so.
Oh, sorry.
She's been aged up. She was originally born in 2005, right. And now it was 2006, and now she's born in 2005, so 15, say.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So yeah, even under 16, so even worse.
Well, the age of consent in the UK is 16, but you still can't distribute pictures of you. You have to be 18.
I'm sure that when in lots of circumstances, there's the slap on the wrist for the people involved, especially if they both know what they're doing. But there's got to be a bit more. Well, I'm just kind of guessing here, but in this case where she has unwittingly been involved in this, and it's been
the thing
spread
is,
around.
It's all very well saying, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," as a slap on the wrist, but actually, you're fueling the exploitation of other children by providing. I mean, who knows where that picture's going to end up now?
Well, once it's out there, it
could get sent to somebody else, who gets sent to somebody else, and then ends up on some paedophile's private computer somewhere, and then sent around the internet to a bunch of other perverts. Once you've sent it to some one person, that's the end of your control over where it goes. However much they say, I won't share it with anyone, I won't show anyone, don't worry, just for me, I won't let anyone else see it. Once you've relinquished control, it's like telling someone a secret. Once you've told somebody a secret, that's it. It's not your secret anymore. They can do what they like with it.
I guess that's the message that Coronation Street wants to get across. Now, I don't know how many life lessons today's teenagers take from Coronation Street, and I'm sure they get told this all day, every day at school anyway. Well, if you're going to do it protected, and don't video yourselves doing it.
There's loads of risky behaviours that teenagers indulge in because it makes them feel cool and special.
But I suppose it's one of these things that if it makes one person think again, if their boyfriend or girlfriend asks them to do something like this, then it's made a difference.
It just seems like such an obvious thing to just not do. I know I sound really judgmental, but I don't get what the benefit is here.
Well,
I've never seen it end well.
No, but usually when we've seen it in a way that's telling us that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that there's...
That's true.
We've always seen it through the...
Don't do that. That's a stupid thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And not that I'm saying that they should have done it, of course. So I wonder what long-term effects this will have on Asha. I mean, will we get back to the skin lightening thing? Because, as I say, it didn't feel like it ended, and now she was just starting to accept herself. Yep. Now she's going to be right back to where she was again.
Yep.
And Tanisha Gorey is still doing an amazing job in the old acting department, so I'm very much looking forward to. And also
really brave and challenging storylines for a young girl.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see how Amy and Summer are going to be involved. It does seem like Summer's a bit more on the sideline, especially Matilda being younger.
Well, I can just see Summer being like me. Hey, why would you do that? I don't understand. Whereas Amy probably would understand a bit more. Like, if Corey asked her to take her top off, she probably would do.
Maybe.
Well, it's a natural thing. This is, and it makes me crazy. He was sitting here watching the story playing out of that happens in real life, of all these stupid teenage boys convincing girls to do stuff that they don't really want to do. Why are they so enthralled of these gormless boys and their graspy, greedy little mitts that they want to get all over them? Just say no. Bugger off.
Don't ask me to get inside the head of a teenage girl. You've got a bit more experience.
Well, I never was interested in any of that crap.
Well, you went to an all-girls school, didn't you?
Exactly.
There weren't any boys there to
That's
impress.
That's why I say start a lesbian commune, and if that to you means girls' school, then fine.
Anyway, so this was all good stuff, really.
Take all their phones away.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing.
Don't just give them really old Nokias.
Yeah. Well,
see how they're like that. They have to play Snake on it.
I do, as well as the consequences from Asha about just the whole fallout of this already. I am a bit worried for her about what Dev's reaction's going to be, because he went absolutely insane last year, didn't he? When he found out about the skin lightening cream, and he totally wrecked her room, tore down her posters and everything. His reaction to this...
He's not a very understanding father.
He's not. He reacts first, sort of. He jumps to a reaction, doesn't he? He's like, I'm trying to do my best here, and you're throwing...
my daughter.
Yeah. So I wouldn't surprise me if he went and, well, maybe even forgo the police and just go and rough Corey up himself, possibly.
He should do.
But he's got to be careful, because he's going to seriously damage the relationship between him and his daughter if he overreacts to it or reacts, badly. But I suppose with Dev as well, Dev knows the consequences of having your bits flaunting in front of everybody, because he has had a massive picture of himself in the nude put up against Victoria Court Flats, hasn't he?
Who could forget?
New RD, first thoughts?
I mean, he hasn't really had a well, you could call it, say he's made a splash.
Yeah, in various sinks. I suppose I can't remember. We must have talked about him in the bonus bit that we recorded yesterday.
He's done a great job so far of looking like he's drunk and ill. So
yeah,
I'd like to see a bit more range.
Yeah.
Before I can judge, but I think he's doing a good job.
Well, I guess they've chosen to introduce this new actor now because Ardy's going to have some kind of role in the story. So I'm interested to see what the relationship will be between the twins during this. Like, will he be an understanding brother? Will he want nothing to do with it because it's icky and he's seen his sister with her kit off? Or
well, sometimes guys get protective of their family members and it manifests itself as a sort of, I'm going to protect you sort of a thing. And then sometimes it manifests as, oh, I can't believe you're such a slag. You're dirty and horrible and I'm trying to police your actions.
Well, yeah, is it going to react like Zidane? With Alia.
Yeah, basically just sort of saying you've soiled the family reputation, and women who are promiscuous and who are interested in sexual experiences are dirty and wrong, and so therefore that's what you are.
I would prefer to think that he would be more on the understanding side, especially because I think that Dev really is going to explode and Asha's going to need somebody in the family she can.
Yeah, but Ardy probably thinks to himself, look, I'm around all these guys all the time and they're always like this. They always want girls to do this, that and the other thing. Why did you do it? That's what he'd probably think. Why did you do it?
This will be a test of Adam's acting mettle.
I am interested.
Well, sure, we'll find out next week. So Gemma, I'll pass that over to you now to synopsise the serious case of the Ollie Wobbles this week.
Yeah. On Monday, we had... on Friday, Steve found Oliver on the floor. He'd had a fit. Someone was looking after him. He took her.
Hey, what? Summer's been in the centre of some right drama this week, hasn't she?
She's like the eye of the storm. She's
like, go away for have a year or so off Coronation Street, and I'm back, and somebody's had a seizure, and somebody else has had a massive rave up, and has shown it all.
Yeah, she's just there calmly, and all the chaos is whirling around her. She's been
I loved it in the Amy story when she says, "Oh, I can take Tracy's lamp and fix it." I wanted her to turn it into a robot.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. So that happened on Friday. So Steve grabs Oliver and runs him over to the medical centre. So on Monday we pick up there. He bursts into the medical centre.
As we predicted, bursts into Chesney and Gemma's appointment.
Liz bursts into that. Naughty Liz, you shouldn't disturb.
I know,
patients.
She really shouldn't. She needs to get some kind of reprimand for bursting in on that conversation. Anything could have been going on in there.
I know, but at the same time, wouldn't she be reprimanded if a child died because she was standing outside the door going,
knock, knock, knock.
Excuse me. I don't know. It's not really, I don't know.
They've probably got some kind of secret signal, get out here now, doctor. And it isn't just bursting in.
And going, it's my
patient's
grandson.
Appointment. Yeah.
Yeah, she was motivated by familial ties. So, Dr. Gaddis says he's had a febrile convulsion, which is not an uncommon reaction when a child's body overheats.
You learn something new every day.
Which sounds scary and terrifying to me. And she's like, there's no reason that he'll have another one, but we should take him to A&E just to be safe.
She's totally cool about it.
What the hell are you talking
isn't
about?
she?
She's like,
just a bit.
Have you never seen a child just spontaneously fall down and nearly die? Happens all the time. Are you sure? What are you giving him, Dr. Gaddis? She'd be doing hot yoga with toddlers or something. Leanne then finds them at the hospital. Clip clops in. Nick's following her. Steve tells her what he knows, but he is being quite careful to avoid saying that he had left Oliver with Summer when this happened. But it doesn't really work. They get back. Steve runs off, basically.
Yeah, he's like, no more questions, I need to go home.
Summer and Billy are walking along, and Summer says, oh, I'm so glad I can't remember, she's just brown-nosing, like, oh.
She's either that or it's like, oh, it's so scary. And
I was so scared, but I know...
Oh, yeah, that's right. She's learned the recovery position
I'll tell you what,
school.
though, I have to say that learning the recovery position was one of my most proudest and finest achievements at school, and I still know how to do it.
Have you ever
it's
had
very
to use
simple.
It?
No.
If anyone's got any hot children that...
No. Let's not word it like that.
Not after the last story.
Overheated children.
Carry on.
So she says, oh, I did it. That was me. And so Leanne runs after Steve to have a go at him, which is the sort of theme of her story this week, is having a go at Steve. Steve gets all defensive, tries to have a pop at Nick. Then he goes round Nick and Leanne's later and says, and they say, Leanne's like, you mess up again, that's it. You're not going to get to see him anymore. You're going to have to arrange all your visits through my solicitor. Dun, dun, dun. So on Wednesday, she's being very overprotective. She doesn't want to let Ollie out of her sight. Nick thinks she's overdoing it. But, if your kid spontaneously falls over and has Ollie wobbles, you probably would be a bit protective.
And also, if you're going out with Leanne and you disagree with her, just keep quiet about it.
Just keep your bloody mouth shut, mate. Steve quizzes Imran about Leanne and about whether Toya knows, or he knows, whether she started to look into the family law and getting custody of Oliver. So Imran says, here's my mate's card for a family solicitor. So Steve and Nick meet in the shop, and Steve offers to buy him and Leanne dinner to smooth things over. Nick's like, free meal's a free meal, whatever. I literally don't care if Oliver lives or dies. Steve, Tracy, Nick and Leanne all have a nice dinner at speed dial. It's going well until Steve accidentally puts the business card down when he goes to pay instead of his card, which causes Leanne to go off on one once again because she thinks he's going behind her back to try to get access to Oliver. Friday, Nick goes to take Oliver out for a walk with Tracy so Steve and Leanne can have this out with each other. And they're getting wound up.
They both kind of realise that they're getting wound up and it's not going to solve anything by them arguing with each other. So they manage to talk themselves down a little bit.
Leanne says, in the future, Oliver must be supervised by an adult at all times. Also, he's not going over your house tonight, he's going to stay with me. Then she relents and decides to take him over to number one. When she gets around the corner, she sees the party spilling out onto the pavement and all the stupid teenagers and the police and everything. And she's like, no, he's not staying here tonight. I don't think so. Then Steve comes over and starts having to go at her for not bringing her over like she said she would. And, oh, no, more misunderstandings.
So whose side are you on in this one then, Gemma? Team Steve or Team Leanne?
It's really hard to feel... To be mad at somebody for overreacting when Steve's an idiot because there's so much form for it. It's not like you're starting from zero with him having messed up. You're starting at like score of 1,000 for
That's
how
true.
much he's messed up. So every time he does something wrong, you have to sort of add that on to everything else. So your reaction's going to be a bit more harsh.
You're right, and I know that finding out that your son has had a febrile convulsion where you're not there is gonna put you on edge. But I do think that Leanne was a bit out of order this week. I'd been growing to like Leanne so much over the last few years. I used to like her, then we famously went off her towards the beginning of the time we did the podcast, and she really was our what's the word? Our whipping girl.
Yeah, we hated her. Well, I specifically really did not like her.
But
People used to write in all the time and go,
why do you hate Leanne? I agree with everything you say on the podcast, except to do like Leanne.
And it's weird because out of all the things we've ever said, controversial, stupid things we've said on here that really are regretful when you listen back to them, that one thing about it seems to be our legacy is we didn't like Leanne and people couldn't understand why, and we really like Pat Phelan and people couldn't understand why, and that's the only two things that we've ever said wrong, which is good.
But I was trying this week. I was really trying to see things from Leanne's point of view, and I take on board what you're saying about Steve having form, but she really was out of order. She was so unlikable, and the worst thing was when she reacted like that to Steve putting the card on the table. She threatened him with legal action the day before. As far as Steve knew, she'd already done this.
She'd already gone off to a solicitor.
Was she kind of saying, well, I'm allowed to get a lawyer and stop you seeing my son, but you're not allowed to?
Hypocrisy is Leanne's middle name.
I really didn't like her.
Were you on Steve's side then?
I was on Steve's side. I really felt that he was getting unfairly criticised this week. Yes, he left Ollie on his own, not completely on his own, because Summer was there, and he did make the point as well, didn't he? About, well, look, you've had him with a babysitter before, and I don't know, is Summer the right age for babysitting?
I would
no
think
idea.
She's fine.
Probably.
And let's be honest, the only reason he left Summer there was because his other daughter, his other child, was having difficulties, because that was when Emma and Seb were having the argument. And so Steve had to rush out and sort that out.
I mean, Tracy has already had a problem in the last 6 months with Steve giving preferential or seemingly preferential treatment to Emma over Amy. I don't know whether we've had enough of Leanne also feeling that Ollie's getting a short end of the stick here when it comes to Steve's parental love. But yeah, she just totally overreacted. He had every right to have that business card there. And then when she's saying, oh, and he's not coming over to you, I can't remember what the access arrangements are, but she's not, she doesn't have the right to, she doesn't have more right to Ollie than Steve does she? I don't know what
I don't imagine so. I think
do they have
it's
50-50?
Just their arrangement.
I don't know.
I think they've just come to a comfortable arrangement that suits them. This probably happens every day, all day long, where two partners have raised a child separately, and then they get to a point where they can't agree, and then it gets nasty. Well, it was fine up to that point.
Steve's had this with Tracy in the past when Amy was going from pillar to post, wasn't she? When Steve and Tracy were not together, and Steve was being an idiot, and sometimes he wanted Amy, and Tracy was saying, no, you can't have Amy, just to try and get one over him. I just found it very, very difficult to like. What we needed, I think, and we didn't see at all, was a scene where Leanne gets to, calm down a little bit and open up to Nick and say, look, this is why I'm worried. Can you understand where I'm coming from here? We didn't get to see any of that, particularly. We just got to see her yapping like a bulldog at Steve, and Nick in the background's kind of thinking, oh, I wish I wasn't part of this. And he was a little bit, he was saying, oh, I've been more of a dad to Ollie than you have, Steve. But yeah, I just think that we needed to hear from Leanne where she was coming from a little more, and open up about why she's so upset.
I don't think you need to justify why a mother would be furious with a man, with the father of the child who left them by themselves, supervised by a young girl. He obviously wasn't able to do much, but nobody would have been, really.
No.
You need to put yourself in her shoes. It's self-evident. You don't need to spell it out why a mum would be upset when her baby has a fit.
I'm not criticising her for being upset. I think that she has been unreasonable to Steve. And I know Steve's a doofus. I know he's an idiot, but he didn't deserve quite the ear bashing that he got from her this week.
I know, but it's the high stakes drama, Michael.
I know. it also just, I was watching it feeling disappointed, as I say, that that I've done my best to like Leanne in recent years, and I found nothing to like about her this week. So I was totally on Team Steve with this, unfortunately.
Well, it's difficult.
And I don't know where this is going either, because is this just going to be Steve and Leanne at war? Because that's not particularly exciting. I assume that Ollie's going to have another relapse or something. I don't think that that's going to be it. I think that might be the warning signs, and maybe it's going to go with
Are you disagreeing with Dr. Susan Gaddis about her medical diagnosis?
I think that she might be wrong, and he might do it again for their drama. I mean, I guess it's going to be Steve and Leanne are just going to be fighting so much that they don't realise, and Ollie has another fit. Or I don't know. Or maybe he's going to die. I think we were talking about this on the podcast last week about how dark and how far down this rabbit hole they can go.
I don't see. The thing is, if Ollie dies, everyone will just be sad, but that will be at the end of the story, and Leanne and Steve will never speak to each other again. Whereas if he's really ill, they're going to be thrown in together and have to cooperate, even though they don't want to, with each other, and each one thinks the other's being unreasonable.
I'm looking forward to it, because we haven't given Jane Danson she hasn't had time in the spotlight for a very, very long time. She used to be one of the the go-to actresses on Coronation Street for Best Actress nomination. So I'm looking forward to seeing her flex her acting muscle again. But I do want to be able to sympathise with her more than I was this week. That's all.
Michael.
What?
I didn't want to say this, because I did this with you before, and it was embarrassing how much differently you reacted. But imagine if we had left Abby with somebody, and we came in and she was having a fit on the floor, and the person was like, "Oh, I just left her with someone else," and you'd be like, "I asked you to look after her."
I know.
But it's making you think more, isn't it now?
Yes, but if I'd threatened...
But people treasure children more than
If
cats.
I threatened somebody with a cat lawyer and then they'd got their own cat lawyer...
You would expect it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't say, "What are you doing getting a cat lawyer?"
You can't have a cat lawyer, only I'm allowed one.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. What's been going on over at Stillwaters this week? Well, I'll tell you. Ken's put on a sandwich charm offensive to try and get the residents of Stillwaters to vote for him in this vote. What's even the position for?
Head honcho.
Kingpin at Stillwater, I don't know.
I would
anyway,
eat a sandwich.
Not many people turn up, because it
Why?
turns out that Charles is throwing his own party, and that's got like piano and singing and everything.
Well, I say go get your sandwich and then go to the other party.
And he's got them in the palm of his hand. So Ken goes round there and kind of gives his Ken glare at them, but takes the opportunity to announce his candidacy. And they don't really seem to care, the other residents. They're like, "You've literally just got here, and you're expecting me to vote for Charles, I've known for..."
No. You're expecting me to vote for you over Charles.
You're expecting me to vote for you over Charles. I've known Charles for an awful long time.
You can't win me over with a bunch of soggy egg and cress sandwiches.
Yeah, Mr. Kenny come lately.
I want some beef and horseradish if it's bribes we're talking about. Or some prawn cocktail, yes.
And then the Stillwater farce, the notch gets turned up again on Wednesday and Friday's episode, because they have a literal fencing duel. Ken throws down the gauntlets to Charles, literally, and when Charles is saying, "Oh, what was he saying? I bet you just sit on your arse all day, Ken," basically. And Ken says, "Well, let's see if that's trained me for fencing. I'm sure it has somehow." But it turns out today
I've
that
read
no.
books where people do fencing.
This is the first time possibly that Ken's ever put on his fencing outfit, and unsurprisingly, he is completely thrashed. Turns out that Charles was fencing national champion in the 1970s or something.
Well, I was suspicious earlier when they already had fencing set up there. So what would... So Charles used to be a national fencing champion in the 70s.
Yes.
What could Ken do as a rival pastime to set up to beat everybody at?
He plays a damn fine cornet.
That's true, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Being right about everything isn't a hobby.
No. Also very good at grammar and things. Maybe they could spell check her.
Like correcting people's signs.
Yeah.
Going, why have you put an apostrophe in CDs?
Yeah. Ken has a number of skills. He's had many jobs.
It's not visually as impressive as fencing, is it?
No. I don't know.
We'll have to circle back around to that.
Never mind, because whilst this duel was going ahead, Norris has been sneaking around inside Charles's bag where he finds the Stillwaters rule book.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Charles
was lying when he says that he doesn't have any anymore and he's had them sent off to be reprinted.
And this is like a hardback.
It's a thick
sturdy,
tome.
Yeah.
There are many rules at Stillwater, but none of them are anything to do with if your dog whittles on the carpet, you have to pay this much money to get professional cleaner in.
That is a good point, actually. That rule book is very hefty, but they've discovered many rules aren't in there. So what is in there?
I don't know.
Just like how to win at fencing.
Yeah, well, maybe it is. It's the
because they were saying like all the service charge covers all the things that we're getting paid. We have to pay extra for, like parking. You are allowed to walk on the grass after all.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't understand also, right, number one, why did nobody have this book?
It's silly.
And how do they know what the rules are? So what, Charles just goes around and tells people?
At the beginning of this Stillwater storyline, I was thinking, okay, this is a bit different, this is fun.
Yeah.
It's not a serious storyline, clearly, but I'll enjoy it well enough. But I'm definitely moving into the territory now that this is getting a bit too silly.
Well, it just needs a bit of internal consistency for me to buy it. Like, when you get there and Charles says to you, the parking charge is £5 a week, and you say, okay, and he says, yeah, it's in the rules, and you say, where are the rules? And he says, never mind about that. You know what I mean? At some point, somebody's been told a rule that they didn't know existed and can't have access to see the rules, and everyone just seems fine with it, apart from Ken.
I don't believe that not a single person at Stillwaters has ever
questioned the rules.
Yeah, or wanted to see the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, and if they haven't, then they deserve everything that's coming to them. They deserve to have Charles as their evil overlord because they're all a bunch of idiots.
Well, also, when you get there and he says something like, oh, you're not allowed to walk on the grass, it's in the rule book, and you say, well, I haven't seen a rule book, and he says, well, you have to abide by the rules. Wouldn't you say, what did I sign that says I have to abide by not walking on the grass?
Yeah.
It doesn't really make any sense.
It is. It's just lacking, as we say, a little bit of consistency in the old logic stakes.
And it doesn't take a lot to tidy it up, particularly. You know, it doesn't have to be that nobody's ever seen these rules. It just has to be that people don't agree with them. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as he's like made this like hardback Penguin Classics version of Stillwater rules, but somehow has hidden it from everybody.
I was just kind of imagining something in, in a little A4 plastic wallet.
Yeah. And
like
also,
you get when you go to an Airbnb, there's like 4 or 5 pages of rules.
Yeah. The sway that he holds over his residents, you'd also think that he could just say to them, I'm making a new rule, you're not allowed to go on the grass, all right? And they would all go, yeah, okay. I don't think he needs to make up rules or hide rule books to have influence over people, because I think we've established that he seems to rule unquestioning over everybody. So, again, a bit too elaborate for what they want the plot to be.
I kind of thought it might have been that everybody was secretly in fear of Charles and they were just being a bunch of yes men. But it did seem that when Ken announced he was going to be standing against him, they were like, no. But as I said, this guy Ken has only been living there for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks.
So, and he's also, to be fair,
don't you know who I am, Ken Barlow?
Much as an insufferable old prig as this guy is.
Very true.
How are you going to pick between them? I'd be like, can we have Claudia or something? At least you'd do it with style. She'd probably be like, right, darlings, the first rule is I have to wear a crown all the time. Don't look. It's in the rule book.
I'm still not completely sure what they're even voting for. Do old folks' homes have?
No, this is for luxury living in your twilight years or whatever it's called.
I don't.
This is like a cruise where the passengers are in charge of their own entertainment, isn't it?
Basically.
And you get to elect the captain, and then the captain goes, well, the rules say we can go to the Isle of Wight, and you're supposed to be going to the Caribbean. You're like, hang on a minute. I've already been to the Isle of Wight, and also I'm not paying extra to go to the Isle of Wight because it's the most expensive stretch of water in the world.
I'm kind of guessing now then that Ken's going to unveil this rule book with a flourish when they have some kind of electoral debate in next week's episode or whatever, and everyone's
going to go, yeah.
Well, I don't know. They'll either do that or they'll say, "Oh, in that case, I will vote for Cat." I just
don't
can't
understand.
see any.
What does the existence of the rule book mean to anybody?
Well, Ken's going to say, "Look, he's been lying to you all this time."
Yeah, but they knew the rules existed. But what has he been lying about?
Well, he's been collecting fines from them.
Yeah, but he'll say that's an old copy of the rules. There's a new copy of the rules, and I haven't given it. This is his story, the story still stands, I'm afraid. His story is he's come up with new rules, and they haven't been printed yet, and the old rules are out of date. So there's no point looking at the old rules.
Well, I didn't see a date on the front of the cover.
Well, it looked pretty dusty. But Michael, his point, Charles's argument hasn't been disproven by the only thing that he said was that there were no copies of the rules anywhere. That's the only lie he said, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And all he'll do is go, "Oh, good, you found a copy of the old rules.
But
done."
If people are
So
saying,
what?
"But you were collecting fines from me, 2 years ago," and yet there still doesn't say in the rule, but it just feels like there's a lot of holes.
I know, it is a bit. Well, it's not a bit silly. It's very silly, but
yeah.
It just really annoys me when they get
mask.
really silly things. Yeah, when they get silly things that just need. It just feels like somebody wrote the plot before they came up with the framework that the plot hangs on. You have to be a bit.
Yeah, I'll still very much enjoy it for the characters that are involved, for the location and everything.
But listen, if they're going to get schools wrong, they might as well get old people's homes wrong as well.
I suppose so. So that was that. Gemma.
Yeah.
Johnny's got issues.
Johnny's got issues.
Yes.
So, don't forget, they've got a Rovers B&B.
And we've actually seen a Rovers B&B customer.
Yeah, we haven't seen the room yet.
No, haven't seen upstairs the Rovers for at least 5 years.
It's all going well on Wednesday. They've got a new guest, Scott. He turns up. Liz and Sean both fall in love with him. So, we're going to have to find out which way he swings. On Coronation Street, he could find out for himself, surprisingly, that he goes both ways.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter, does it?
I always thought I was into tarty blondes with skirts like belts.
Turns out like flouncing barmen
instead.
So he said he's going to come back later because Johnny and Jenny are out at the brewery. He comes back, they're still not back, so Sean gets him a drink on the house. Unfortunately for him, Liz, he's more interested in Liz. Jenny and Johnny return, and we see Johnny is like, "Oh no, I know who this person is." Mysterious link there between the two of them. But we still don't know by the end of the week what the relationship is. Although you can guess because there's only going to be a few options.
Well, we'll talk through those options in a minute.
Unless again, Johnny is bisexual and that's his boyfriend.
Oh gosh, don't.
Because
don't
why
even
not?
Tempt fate.
Anyone could be bi on Coronation Street, but yet never call themselves bi. How about that? It's like Schrodinger's bisexual. You're both straight and gay at the same time.
Until the storyline comes across.
Yeah, exactly. On Friday, Eileen comes in to join the oogling of Scott. Jenny's fallen over herself to apologise to him for being late to come and meet up with him. Johnny's buggered off out somewhere, comes back in and out through the back door so he can avoid seeing Scott, and he says, let's just go to France right now and see Eva. I've been talking to her on the phone and she desperately wants us to go. It's clear that he's just trying to avoid Scott, but Jenny doesn't really pick up on that. She starts to think that he's feeling unwell.
I think he says that he's
she's
unwell.
like,
She's like, "Oh, you poor love. Is it your MS?
Is it your Ipsy Daisy disease?" Sean shows Scott upstairs, and Jenny says to Johnny, "Go and see Eva by yourself. We can't just..." She's like the most reasonable person to ever be faced with a impromptu holiday on Coronation Street. She says, "No, we can't just go off to France now. I know that normally we would do. In fact, we might just leave the show on a whim to go to France and live with Eva. But actually, one of us has to stay here to run the pub, remember? Can't cope with both of us gone."
What she also should have said was, "We've coped for the last 12 plus months with only one of us behind the bar at one time, so it'll be absolutely fine if you go to France, and I'll just, take the lead for a little bit.
Bring me back some plonk and cheap fags and I'll see you next week."
So
there you go.
Yeah, so this Jenny and Johnny story does seem like it's going to be a Jenny only story. I mean, do you think that Johnny seemed like pretty desperate to get out of the country? I'm kind of wondering whether on Monday he'll be gone, and that's the last we've seen
really?
of. Well, maybe when characters want to go abroad on Coronation Street, they don't take. They're not slow about it.
The only reason I can. But it's just going to prolong the mystery, isn't it? And it's boring,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I know. But this is what happened with Shone. Like, there's so many mysteries we had on the show where they've eked it out too long, and by the time it gets to the revelation, it's like we've guessed every single possible version that it could be. There's no surprises left.
So I don't know. I wouldn't mind if Jenny uncovers it while he's away.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the viewers will figure it out.
So what do you...
For example, when Shona turned up and we knew that she knew David somehow, and then we worked out one of the theories was that she was Clayton's mum.
So what are your theories that it could be, and you'd be disappointed if it was any of these? Johnny owes him money.
They are both playing an elaborate D&D game in real life, and Scott and Johnny are just characters that they're playing, but they actually are sisters in real life, because you can be whatever you like.
I think that Johnny and Scott have been secretly dating on eHarmony, and Johnny's put a photo of himself that is actually Aidan's old photo. And then when Scott finds out that what he really looks like, he's going to be sorely disappointed by this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Scott is an older gentleman.
Yeah.
He's certainly older than Aidan and Kate.
Yes. He seems like he's the sort of age that could have been a mate or business associate of Johnny's at some point in the past.
So he could have been an adult friend of Johnny, but equally, the way Coronation Street likes to go, he could have been fathered by Johnny at the age of 6.
Could be. I'm thinking more there's been some kind of dodgy business deal that's gone on here. And and Johnny, and if he sees Johnny, he's going to be like, where's that 100 grand you owe me, or something along those lines. I just thought there was some
kind of family relationship, or he's his brother, or his uncle, or his aunt, or his
I'm not
cousin,
thinking that. Or did Johnny have it off with Scott's wife at some point?
Scott's wife had it off with Johnny?
Or, yes, they have it off with each other. It's going to be...
Jenny has PTSD-induced amnesia, and that's actually her ex-husband. How about that? And Johnny knows.
And Johnny's happy to let Jenny stay at the Rovers with him.
She's like, she's obviously balmy. She doesn't remember. I'm just going to France.
I assume
wait for it to blow over.
I assume we can rule out that Scott is dangerous in any way, because Johnny wouldn't leave Jenny alone with him there. So he's not.
I don't know.
He's not going to be.
Johnny's a bit of a self-preservation guy. He had a fling with his wife before she died.
Maybe.
He's Aidan's real father. Or
Aidan and Kate's real father.
Could be.
But what? But why would
Johnny's mum.
It's got to be some. Johnny's the one that's running away here.
Yeah.
Isn't he? There can't be anything like that, because Johnny would be like, at last it's you. I'm going to have it out with you. Johnny's done something wrong. Johnny has wronged this guy.
No, but he might just be like, I can't be bothered with this drama. I'm going.
Maybe he's just like terrified of tall, greying business types.
He wasn't ever scared of Robert.
That's very true.
Maybe there was Scott and Johnny had like 20 years ago. Scott had a Tupperware party. Johnny went because he thought it was a normal party. Got there, realised it was a Tupperware party, and didn't even go in. And he's still embarrassed because and Scott was banking on everybody buying a set of Nestlé storage pots.
No, I've got it.
Go on.
Johnny flashed his boobs on the internet, and it went onto Scott's phone, and Scott has got footage of him doing a sexy dance to Kanye West, and Johnny's like, he's going to show it to everyone in the Rovers.
Or maybe they had a startling chat roulette experience with each other, and they were both drunk on whiskey, and he didn't know that Scott was recording it.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be.
I'll just have to wait next week and see.
I hope it's one of those.
I hope it's one of those and not just something plain and boring.
It's my brother.
So I don't know. We'll see.
It's my brother, and he was always the favourite.
I tell you what I didn't like about this story. I
What?
could not stand the ogling with Eileen and Liz and Sean. They all came off as being utterly desperate and pathetic.
Michael, that's spoken like a man who's been married for the most. Have your tongue hanging out.
I mean,
Sexy Scott came into your pub.
You know, I've been a big, a supporter and a champion of Sean when everybody else has been against him.
Yeah.
I do like Sean, but he is a bit of a run-trick pony, isn't he? Fancying people, gay or straight, that's literally all he's good for.
Eileen, Sean and Liz, any time a new character who's remotely in their age bracket turns up, they all start circling. It's like, when you see a spider's web and a fly comes and the spider just comes running out immediately and grabs it up and starts wrapping it up into a parcel. That's them lot.
Yeah, I don't like, especially, I mean, Sean I know is desperate, but I don't like Liz being desperate. She should be,
Liz has always been a bit desperate.
No, she should be
They're all
strong,
desperate.
powerful. She should have the men running after her, not the other way around.
Well, I think she
didn't
did
like
have
it.
him come and running after her.
I didn't like it. It seemed very, very cliche. And I'll say the same thing. I know we haven't got to the story yet. At the end of, was it Monday's episode with Toya and Imran, and they'd had all their words about her going to the protest, and then we had the cliche scene of him saying, "Oh, but you're sexy. Oh, tell me how sexy I am. Oh, let's go back home and have sex." It's like, is this the best dialogue you can come up with these characters? Honestly. I just rolling my eyes at it.
About our marriage. That doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah, they should have just gone back and said, "Let's watch another episode of 70s."
Should we watch Tiger King? Yeah. I think it's just a shorthand way of, and it annoys me a little bit as well when they have a character and they bring them in as a hunk or a sexy lady, and because they think we don't have eyes in our head to make us realise how desirable this character is, we have to have a scene with a bunch of people drooling over them to make them seem even more desirable. It always happens.
Sometimes I'll have characters that aren't, traditionally sexy, but they'll still have the characters, tripping over their tongues over them as well.
Maybe we're not up on our pub banter.
I just wish that there was more motivation for some of these characters than I want to get into bed with them. And I know it's a soap and everything, but...
Or what do you want Sean to say? Oh, Scott, you like chess? Do you want to join my chess club?
Yes,
and Liz
exactly.
is like, he looks like a crochet guy to me. And Sean's like, my chess radar's gone. To go and see if Kevin can sort it out for me.
Before we move on from that story, can I just say, Dirk got another name check.
No, he did, didn't he?
Loved it. He was there.
Jenny gave him a pint.
I would say that's maybe only about the third time that Dirk has got his name mentioned in the show. Loved it.
So if you're taking a shot every time,
yeah, you're not quite as drunk as Ardy yet.
You can definitely afford to buy yourself a very nice bottle of whiskey to do it with.
Right. Speaking of the whole Batters Beeb relationship, Gemma, what's our favourite lawyer and sales executive now? Shrug. Been up to this week.
Don't know what she's up to. So if this storyline was about had Toya flashing her boobs, it could be Batters Beeb.
Batters Boob. Toya Batters Boob.
Right, no, that's not what happened. She would never do such a thing. Actually, she might do.
She might do.
Depends, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, she gets the horn quite quickly, does Toya, doesn't she? Ooh. Imran just has to give her the right look and she'd drop her jaws for him.
Hey, I'm not saying anything. On Monday, Imran is getting ratty at Toya.
I'm surprised that when Jenny was doing the tidying up in the Rovers at the end of the day, she didn't find Toya's frilly knickknacks down on the floor outside the ladies.
You're horrible. Be quiet. He's ratty because she had been in trouble last week with the police for gluing herself to some environmental guy.
She went on a protest.
I've been watching this show very closely. He's ratty and says, look, you can't go on protests and stuff. We could jeopardise everything we've been working towards.
Once more, shrug. What have they been working
Where's
towards?
the blueprints? I want to see. Do you think they're going to do an elaborate heist or something?
I don't know.
I would love it.
Because we never see them.
They could
this
very
is the
well.
most we've seen of Toya and Imran for months. I've got no idea what they're working towards.
Yeah, but Michael, they could very well, on their off days when we're not watching the show, be planning like a jewellery heist or something in London.
Maybe.
Or like...
Are they just maybe they're talking about getting a flat together, or I don't know. I don't know, but whatever it is, her getting herself in trouble is jeopardising it.
Imran does seem like the kind of guy who, bless him, at a dinner party where he didn't know you, would get a bit drunk and then say, "What's your 5-year plan?" Like, that's a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, it's like your old boss.
Yeah, I know, what a dick. She is going to jeopardise everything we've been working towards, and then he says she's passionate and sexy, and it batters her right back up again.
So off they go.
Off they
go. Up them stairs.
Vegetable lasagna for 2. On Wednesday, Toya is surprised to find Evelyn has been hiding the fact that she got arrested, kind of, from Arthur. And she's also surprised to hear from Evelyn that Imran is recruiting or something. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I missed that. I meant to rewatch that. Oh, sorry. This is bad. Last week we had to have people on Facebook tell us that what Jeff had found in Yasmin's bag was a leaflet from the community centre about domestic abuse or something, and I completely that I missed that. So maybe someone will have to tell me what that recruiting thing was. Maybe it was to do with. Oh no, maybe it was she must have found out that Nick was recruiting. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Because she gets a job with Nick at the end of the episode on Friday's episode.
Let's just make it up after we've watched it.
Yeah.
Imran comes in and accidentally drops Evelyn in it with Arthur by bringing up the arrest. And on Friday, we continue the episode and Arthur just thinks it's hilarious.
He's cool with it.
Well, at a certain point, when you get to a certain age, surely you can get arrested with no consequence. That's why you need to be careful of all these old people.
Tell you what, if Arthur was running for president of Stillwater, I'd vote for him. He seems like a really chill guy.
Yeah, it's me, Arthur.
He's not got a stick up his bum like Ken, and he's not... You know,
a closet Nazi.
evil like, money hoarder like Charles. Or is he? We have only known him for a few weeks, you know. Got to have some skeleton in his closet.
Toya is miffed to hear Imran is representing the guard who was punched at the protest. I think that is a bit... I also don't think you'd be allowed, would you?
Yeah, it's a bit of a conflict of interests.
Arthur says, I used to do some protesting in my day, and talks about something.
Well, Evelyn's just chuffed that he's not been put off her brush with the law.
They both need to be careful because you can break your hip protesting.
Yeah, you can.
You can. Toya gets a job in sales at the factory over the phone somehow, and Imran's decided to drop the security guard case, and we still don't know if they go home and have a takeaway or not, but I'm going to say yes.
I think that they don't have a takeaway.
But her turn to cook, and she said...
I think that they decided in the end they're not going to have a...
Well, what are they going to eat then? Is Imran going to make it?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, what's going on here then?
So is she going to be co-workers with Michael?
I don't know.
Quite funny. I can imagine them winding each other up.
I think that they would have personality clash.
Yeah, me too.
But then the problem with it would be, I think Michael would be made out to look like the cool one, and Toya would look like the frumpy.
Like, I've got a bran muffin. And he's like, oh, I've got a cupcake, and everyone's like, the cupcake guy is the best and funniest one.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, do they need 2 marketing people at the factory? Why is?
She's in sales. He's marketing.
Oh, is it not the same thing?
You can have sales and marketing.
Okay.
But marketing is like, ooh, look at this toilet roll. And then sales is like, it's £5, please.
Okay, fine. Is this in Toya's skill set now that she can do sales, and Nick will just give her the job just like that?
That she can get inside people's brains and go, look, I was a counsellor for ages. I can prey on people's weakness.
Can make you think that you want these
toilet rolls,
colourful sports bras.
They come in black and red. Innovation.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're expanding the cast of characters potentially now that Toya is going to be interacting with.
Oh, I love that.
Because we've not seen very much of her.
Secluded.
Yeah, it's.
And
I can't think of who she's actually had scenes with.
Hardly anyone.
Dr. Ali, and now he's gone. So putting her into the factory means that she's going to be working there with Michael, with Sarah Lou, with Nick, with all the factory girls. So that it could be, you know, a bit more storyline potential for her there. And maybe there's going to be a bit of chalk and cheese flirting between Toya and Michael. I don't know. He likes the older
cupcakes. She likes the old bran muffins.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I'm just going to say that Michael has shown interest in ladies older than himself in the past. Has he not? So maybe he might fancy Toya.
Now, Toya's like mid-20s.
Just like you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could that could be fun, I suppose.
I'm also excited about the prospect of them expanding what they do at the factory, which so far seems to be having arguments with people at the kettle, and Nick squinting at Gail.
Yeah, we have not actually seen them make any knickers.
They haven't done anything in there. They don't.
And how long have they been open now? Since before Christmas?
I'll tell you what's happened. They aimed it before Christmas, and they put in a big fancy showroom, a nice area with the reception area, tea room. Prettily. They've got nice places to eat. Nick's got a giant desk. There's also lots of room for office staff. And somebody in a minute is going to say, do you know what we haven't got? Machines and machinists.
Yeah, we've not made anything. We've got no thread. Elastic's right out.
Whoops.
Well, it's all toils to get them straight.
She'll be like, look, first of all, first thing that I've got to tell you is you're not making any products.
Speaking of Toya's expanding friendship groups, I did quite like the fact that they were giving us some stuff to do with Evelyn and Arthur as well. That seemed like it could be. And with Nina, though we didn't have Nina at all this week, did we?
No, we didn't.
So hopefully they're investing in her a little bit more.
Yes,
please.
Please.
And potentially she could get involved in this Ollie storyline as well, I suppose. We will have to wait and see.
There's always somewhere she can stick her oar in there.
Finally, we've got the Winter Blues, which just was on Monday's episode, I think. And because we were left last week with Gemma, Chesney and Dr. Gadas together. And Gemma, fair play to Dolly Rose Campbell. I thought she did a very, very good job at the beginning of Monday's episode with her pouring out of grief at how difficult she's finding the situation. She can't sleep. She's having nasty thoughts. I thought that Dolly did a bang-up job.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah, she did.
She says, Mr. Dr. Gadas says, look, have you thought about harming yourself? And she's like, no. And Gadas says, what about the babies? Have you thought about harming them? And there's this long pause, and Gemma's like, I'm so sorry, Chaz.
One thing
I did think about putting them in the washing machine. I'm sorry.
One thing I wish they had said more, and I know that they've already said it at least once, but I think it does need to be hammered home a bit more, is that these are intrusive thoughts. And anyone can have them about anything.
Yeah, it's kind of subconscious.
It's like
just work their way into your head.
And I really wish that somebody had explained it to Chesney. Like, have you ever been driving and you see the centre line of the motorway and you think to yourself, I could just drive into it? It's not exactly the same thing as what Gemma's going through, but it's definitely
like that.
Of the family of thoughts of things that you're not going to do, but sometimes it just gets inside your brain.
Well, you said earlier when with the Steve and Leanne story that Dr. Gaddis is pretty chill about Ollie's seizure, and she's pretty much the same here. She's
everyone.
You thought about harming your kids? No, we do it all the time, love.
Oh, I had started 5 kids. I've only got 3.
Especially if you got postnatal depression. But you know what? I think that this is what this storyline is, Gemma. Just breaking it to you now. And
I looked
and she says, "Well done for being so honest, Gemma. You've done a good job. Fantastic. Off you go home now because I've got something else to sort out now."
Yeah.
What's that, Liz? So back home, Paul helps out a bit. Chesney goes out to get a prescription. He's a bit worried about leaving Gemma alone.
Well, this prescription is for her antidepressants, I assume. And I don't think we've ever seen a storyline where we've seen people that have been depressed and had counselling, and maybe people have been on antidepressants, but we haven't seen ones where people try to go on antidepressants and it doesn't work out for what particular reason, because I know that when you need to go on them, quite often you'll have to try lots of different ones. And alarmingly, some of the side effects of some of the antidepressants, if they don't work out for you, are suicidal thoughts, which is not really what you want.
No, it's not a miracle cure, as some might have us believe. Gemma later overhears Chesney telling Paul about what Gemma's been saying, and she's she kind of realises that the best place for her is away from the kids, and she just wants to, take herself out of the situation, and Chesney's trying to stop her, and he starts opening up about his own worries and says, look, I think you're a great mum, quads need you. And Bernie comes in and she reveals that she's taken over Chesney's job at Prima Donna, so he doesn't have to work there either anymore or as much, I can't remember.
I think it's not as much.
He is still the boss there, isn't he, in maybe the chip shop?
I don't think that Bernie's particularly a good candidate for being the manager.
Well, she was burning the chips or something the other day, wasn't she? Anyway, Gemma's
she's going to
relieved.
stay with them. So basically, gets free rent in return for working some of Chesney's shifts.
Yes. So, I mean, it could well be that the end is in sight for this story and everything turns out okay. I wouldn't be complaining.
No, I wouldn't mind if they stopped it now, but...
It would be a bit of it. It would feel a bit like, this is easy. It says you got postnatal depression, that's fine, just get your mum to do... To do the father's
solve
job.
Solve all your problems in a really specific way that nobody else can emulate.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like what we said about the Jeff story, and it can't just end with
her
killing him. But
no,
I think this
although
has
gone
on long enough now. This Gemma story, so
well, this is the same thing. Like, we don't like this storyline, so we're fed up with it. But you can't complain about this storyline taking too long, and at the same breath say that you like the Jeff and Yasmin storyline.
I know.
And the same thing with the Sinead cancer storyline. I was like, can we just kill her off now? She's got cancer, she's going to die, just let her die. But you have to let these things go for a certain amount of time to be realistic and people to...
I know.
To see things that they've experienced happening.
Are you kind of assuming that Bernie's stay is permanent now? Because when she went off a few months ago, I thought, okay, is that it then? Is that the last we've seen of Bernie? And now she's come back again, and I wondered whether it was temporary. She come in and out
for no particular reason. It feels as though she could have just stayed and not gone anywhere.
Yeah. So...
I don't understand. Is she a regular character now?
I think that she may well be on the regulars list.
Okay.
Speaking of characters, Gemma, do you have a character of the week?
I've got to score it first, don't I?
You can do whatever order you fancy.
I won't do any of it then.
No, you've got to do one of them, please.
Oh.
Leanne. No. I mean, I'm looking at the stories we've had this week and thinking who has... done a good job in the old acting stakes, but also the characters who has who's been laudable. I mean, I almost want to give it to Steve out of sympathy, but he's not. I'm not going to say that he's been the best dad. I think he probably hasn't deserved it. I don't want to just give it to Asha just to say, well, her storyline was the best story this week, so therefore, as the poster child for this story, I'm going to give it to her. But
I'm going to give it to Toya because she's shining promise, and she's getting her elbows on the table, or whatever you call it, getting in there, getting herself jobs.
She has got in there
and telling
numerous
Imran
times this week
to shut up. I'm not cooking for you. Just nice to see her in it more.
Yeah.
And Imran. They can have a joint.
And
if they break up, I'm giving it to Toya.
I can't give it to Asha because she was a bit silly and she stripped in front of a camera.
You can't be so judgmental.
That'd be a sympathy vote as well. I mean, Amy organised a banging party, so maybe her.
Tunes!
See, that's why Ed should have.
Ed was like, I thought you liked parties, Ed. And now apparently the tunes aren't banging enough for you.
They're not reggae enough.
Bob Marley.
Who can you keep talking because I'm still trying to think.
Well, I've got to also
you can
score
give your score,
it,
can't you?
I don't know what to score it out of. Some bits of it. I mean, we're in a weird position now because some bits of it were from a different week, weren't they?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I know, but you're scoring it as a whole, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 3.5 signed photos of Tommy Orpington.
Next to your bed.
Yeah, that's where I keep mine.
Watch out, they get stolen. I'm going to give mine to Dr. Gadas this week.
But
because
she was
a
chill.
calming, chill influence in 2 stories. She left the
like,
characters she was involved with feeling completely fine about whatever issues that they got.
But I think she really underplayed
she was lovely.
What they had wrong with them.
No, she She's had 7 years at medical school, Gemma. Neither of us has.
That's
I
true.
believe that old Susan knows what she's talking about.
Played 2 Point Hospital, though. Quite a lot.
Yeah. Dr. Gaddis is my character of the week this week. Why not? How many did you give it out of 5?
3. Did I give it 3.5?
I'm giving it 3.5. I'm going to give it 3.5 doggy hydrotherapy sessions in the canal out of 5, I think. So I thought that was a pretty good week. I enjoyed it muchly, even though some of it was verging on the silly, like Stillwaters, and some characters, Leanne, were verging on the unbearable.